From New York and on the new Hot 97 app, Ebro in the morning. On Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning. Laura Stiles on assignment. I don't know what she's doing, but Rosenberg, at least we have. Give it up for our guest today, Andre Iguodala.
Yeah, it's an NBA champion. It's an NBA champion.
That is,
And
he's got many accolades.
Do you demand that people always refer to you as NBA champion when they introduce you to someone?
No.
This is my friend, NBA champion Andre.
I've heard that one, though.
You have heard that.
I'm sure you have.
Guys that say...
How many
they
rings?
want it. The guys who say they want them.
No, I know the guy that says refer to me as champ. No, I'm serious.
How many rings?
3.
3 rings.
3 rings. Yeah.
How did it feel this year? Y'all was going at 3-peat with the Warriors, and literally, people started to fall apart. Things started to fall apart. Right. I would love to hear from you, just living in that moment of literally KD leaving everything on the floor. Another injury to Klay Thompson. Yeah. I would love to hear from you on that.
And my man Loon.
Yeah.
All right.
Looney.
Yep.
Oh, he was just dropping like flies. But it's just, I think sometimes people forget the stress on the body for like long seasons, over and over and over and over and over.
Right.
Like you
point.
forget that, you see somebody like LeBron playing so many finals. It's like, man, it's tough. And we went to the finals 5 years in a row.
Right.
So it's just...
It's a long year every year. It's not an 82-game season.
Yeah, it just catches up to you. So, I mean, it's just not just the physical stress, but the mental stress that, you have to weigh on your body as well. So, I always say things happen for a reason, and it just wasn't in the plans. And I always tell the guys, it's a brotherhood, and, these moments strengthen our relationship. So, it was tough to just go through it. But at the same time, you just strengthen that bond as well because we all support each other.
So does that make it tough, though, that you strengthen that bond, you go through that, and then your time there comes to an end? Was that emotionally difficult for you?
No, not really, because I think we understand the business. We understand things that can happen at any given time. We understand how like one domino can affect the other ones. And that's especially it's like the league is top end. So you got your superstars, and those that one decision can determine the fate of 5 or 6 different franchises. You saw that's what happened this summer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been through that before. That's how I got to Golden State.
I was going to bring that up.
Waiting on Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard was making his decision. It was between Houston and a couple of other teams, but I think we all knew he was going to Houston. But we had to wait on him to make the decision, and his stalling kind of helped me get to the Warriors. It gave them time to put a deal together. So that's just. I think a lot of businesses in general, like when Warren Buffett makes a move and everybody else kind of falls in line at the same time. So it works like that in sports.
You went Sixers to Warriors, right?
Sixers to Denver. I was in Denver for a year.
Denver,
yes.
then Warriors.
Then Warriors, yes.
I recall hearing that you made an asserted effort to get to the Warriors, right? Like a concerted effort, like
yes.
you wanted to be there. Mm-hmm. And it was more than just basketball for you. It was like, I want to work here, but I also want to start other endeavors, right, to plan for your life after basketball. And you were open about that, right,
yes.
at the time.
Yeah, so I have been dabbling a little bit in the E-Trade accounts. This thing is funny how I always talk about this in terms of fear, right? Like, how do we use fear? And it's actually helped me remember a Bible verse. I think it's Proverbs 9:10. Fear is the beginning of knowledge, and knowledge is the wisdom of God. So, like you get afraid, you have a fear for certain things, but it makes you react a certain way. And it's coming in the league is that you hear all the horror stories of guys going broke. Like, don't go broke, don't go broke, don't go broke. But coming from where we come from, we don't have that financial education. And it was funny. I just had a golf course talking to a guy who grew up He grew up on a golf course, and he was like, "Well, why don't you guys just balance your own checkbooks?" Like, I'm looking at him like, where we come from, we didn't have bank accounts to balance the checkbook. Like, he couldn't comprehend that. But just hearing these horror stories, it was like, okay, how do I learn how to invest my own money? How does that work? Because I understand somebody's managing my money, but why are they getting paid to manage my money? Or why are they getting these fees? Or why am I getting charged for this? Why am I getting charged for that? And okay, how do stocks work? So I opened an E-Trade account with a little bit of my own money and just start trading different stocks, and then start paying attention to why am I losing money? Why am I gaining money? And what I saw was I had a lot of upside on the tech side. So that's when, like, the iPhone came out. Apple started rolling out all these products with their platform and a lot of their hardware. So you saw the apps coming right after that. So I started following, tracking these different companies in the tech sector, and then that got me a little bit more interested into how do you get in a little bit earlier, and how do you get more of an upside, and that's investing before an IPO, which led me to know where all these companies were located at.
Silicon Valley.
And it's like, whoa, what the hell's going on out here? So.
And what year is this?
This was like 2010, around 2009, 2010. So they had been on my radar for a couple years.
And have you made it to the point where, I know the answer, but I would love to hear it, because I'm sure you would like to get to the point where you're making more money on your businesses than you're making annually from the NBA. Have you got to that point yet?
No, I haven't got to the point yet. But I mean,
But that really just speaks to how well you're doing making money in the NBA. Let's be honest.
it's true. Yes, that and
Yes.
yeah. I mean, because tech has helped that as well. I think tech has helped these valuations of these sports franchises go up. It's called, with the disruption, with the cable cutting, and a big part of that is advertising, and the advertisers need eyeballs, and where are the eyeballs? With live content, is sports is the only thing left. Everything else is being binge watched.
Sports is the only thing
Right.
that people still make an appointment to
Yes, yes.
and lock in.
It's the only thing that people don't DVR all the time.
Right, so you can't record it. And then I think I saw the other day I was watching Blackish, and if you record it, you can hit a button, you can skip the commercials. I just saw it, I was like, whoa, when did this come about? But with sports, you don't have that. Like, you locked in, you can't watch something that happened last week, this week in sports, because you know what happens already, and everybody's locked in. So that's driving a lot of the valuations of the teams and the value of sports and live content. And that's why you see so many things happening and surrounding sports. And then you have these different, you got Disney, you got Fox, Netflix might even make a play, YouTube. They're all broadcasting live sports. And Hulu. So yeah. So you're seeing all these companies trying to get into that space because of the ad dollars, and that's why there's you see these large contracts and you see these large evaluations. So on the business side, it's right there though. It's right around the corner. And I tell a lot of people, when you get into the tech space and you start making these investments, you got to understand the risk, and you got to do the risk analysis in terms of how many companies you invest in, how many are just fall flat on the face, you lose your investments, how many are just maintain, and then you got your couple home runs. You get 1 or 2 home runs a year, you're golden, but it takes 8-9 years for you to realize those home runs. So it's a long play, but the upside is like no other place in the world.
So the book Sixth Man, you've been in the league 15 years. Now you're putting out a book. Why a book now?
I think it was really good timing in terms of just seeing the lay of the land. Once you're in this game a long time, as you know, with your job, you can kind of see how things ebb and flow. You can kind of see how things will work. And so, timing-wise, I thought it was really good with what we just did the last 5 years with this team. And, you don't think it's going to end, but you kind of sense it like it's right here. The end is near. So why not parlay it into a platform and strengthen the platform of things I'm trying to do on the other side of the court. And I was reading a lot of other biographies and memoirs, Michael Strahan, football player, Revere, the baseball player, Samuelson, the chef, Marcus Samuelson, the chef, and a few others. And Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah's book was really good. So how they kind of parlayed it into their own lane and kind of was at the forefront of being in their profession and turning that into a bigger platform. So I thought it was real good. It would be something I can be honest with. Maybe it was a little too honest, but never hold back. That's just me, who I am personally, and coming from my mother. So it was a good process, a good thing to
So it was
do.
cathartic in some ways too.
Yeah, and it was therapeutic.
Yeah.
I would say you have a lot of like memories of things that happen along the journey. Like the funny thing is, like I start remembering people who like played an integral part of the success, but you also remember people who you were lucky to get away from. Like, damn, I dodged a bullet with that person. Like, I'm glad he's not around anymore. So,
And some people that, on the other side, you're like, oh, man, I need to reach out to them. They really looked out early. I didn't even realize how.
Right. So I had a few of those. It was like, man, I remember this coach really looked out for me. Like one of my coaches, Coach Rockman, and this was like age 12, 11, and I was joking around. I was a goofy kid, like joking around. He was like, man, you different from them. Like, we all from the hood, but you the one that actually does well in school. You know, you the one that actually has a shot. Like, just different things like that you remember along the way that kind of like brings things back in perspective. So it was good.
So you do seem like a very bright dude who pays a lot of attention to what's going on in the world. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about what's been happening in the NBA world the last week and a half. It's been in addition to this show, I do a sports talk show on ESPN, and it's been bizarro world to have the NBA sort of in this political crosshair, which they have never found themselves in.
Right.
What was your take watching the whole thing play out from the side?
It was interesting because, you know, if you keep up with the tech space, you see this all the time. You know, and
Well, Apple just went through something.
exactly. So
In terms of companies' associations with
right. So
other
I read
people?
I read a lot about the tech companies, and I read this newsletter called Stratchery, and he talks a lot about Apple and their relationship with China because a lot of their hardware products are being made there. And then it talks a lot about, you know, companies who they take their platform to China. China changes the laws there are a little different, so that it has to change their platform. And then some companies who just won't go there, and then China just copies it. So I read a lot about it, and to see how it would play out was very interesting. And then the reaction from the press and from the consumers was very interesting as well, because some people have the information, some people don't have the information. And then, you know, you hear certain things about people in China, you know, a lot of their things are tailored to the people. So, you know, you don't know who has what information. So it's just really hard to make like a very comfortable, very confident opinion about it, because it's 2 billion people over there. You know what I mean?
Well, that was my thing about it. It's like people are living in America putting what China's going through an American lens.
Right.
And that's, while we may disagree with what's going on over there, you can't just apply our ethics policies and things like that to another place, just blanket, without understanding. Even though I agree with the protesters and I agree with everything going on over there, there's also another dynamic in China, which is China doesn't market themselves to the world like this place where you get all of these freedoms either. You know what I mean? So it's a crazy situation.
Well, and a lot of people are in bed with them, right? So you just have to be mindful about who you talk about, because so many people are in bed with China.
Well, we talked about it on the show, right? Like, you're not going at sponsors on this radio show, right? Like,
And we fancy ourselves to be very honest.
And I may say something about fast food. I may say something about whatever, but I'm not going to go directly at a sponsor, right? Technically, China is a sponsor. They spend $4 billion with the NBA.
Right. And it's tough. The thing that bothered me the most was when we make our statements about being home, about being American, and the issues we have in America. It's like shut up and dribble. You know, we talk about that. But it's interesting in this situation with China.
You're a coward, talk.
They're shoving a camera in our face and be like, no, you can't say no comment. We need you to speak on this. And it was like, whoa.
Right.
That's what I came out of it. Like, you know, they're ready to attack LeBron for making a statement because they don't like his statement. They feel like he should have took another stance. But when he's home and he makes a stance about
something he knows personally about,
and it's like, no, this is not your place to make that statement. That was mind blowing to me. That's what bothered me the most.
Right. There's definitely something going on here. There is a certain segment of the population who dislikes LeBron, who dislikes the NBA, who dislikes the political stands and social stands that players have taken, and they have been waiting for a gotcha moment.
Right.
So that is built into this.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, what makes this complicated, I didn't love LeBron's statement either. I didn't think it was necessarily a thought out. You'd already waited a week. I would have waited a few more days, because I don't think it was thought through completely. And I don't think attacking Daryl Morey is necessarily the route that I would want to go either. But I can't remove the fact that there are people who have been waiting on LeBron and they're looking for a chance to pounce on him.
Well, he's in a difficult situation, very difficult situation, because any statement can be taken out of context. What I got from the interview was they had to go over there and play, and in their safety.
It was very uncomfortable. It sounds like.
Right. Think about that. Like
in a foreign land, foreign laws, things ain't good.
Yeah, that and I believe he said, there's freedom of speech where we come from. Darren Moore's free to say what he said, but sometimes you got to think about the safety of the players. You could have waited a week.
When
to
he
say
even
it.
Problem is, there's consequences.
But he also used the word one again. This is where I say it's very nuanced, especially because LeBron isn't normal. LeBron is a superstar. He's an impactful, powerful human being. The first word he used though was financial. Affected us financially, blah blah blah, physically. I personally, if I was drafting that statement, would have been, let's go with physically first, because that's a relatable thing. You were in a foreign country while there was beef happening with a communist nation and you're stuck there. To me, that's terrifying. But when you say financially first, everyone's naturally going to think LeBron's worth what, about 30% of Nike's business probably? I mean, people are going to naturally go to, and where does Nike make their sneakers?
Right.
So, like, people are naturally going to go those places.
That's the part that pisses me off the most, is people want to be we live in a capitalist nation. We live in America. And everybody, when we're talking about Black Lives Matter, when we're talking about people getting put in cages at the border, when we're talking about jobs in America, when we're talking about all these things, everybody's cool talking about the financial impact. We're cool talking about all of these things, right? But now when it comes to actually, everyone knows this is business. It's NBA. It's
so you're saying,
business.
why does it bother him so much when it's about someone like LeBron protecting his finances,
right? And
not when it's everything.
But not when Trump goes, oh yeah, they chopped up this journalist in Turkey, but you know what? Saudi Arabia is buying billions of our weapons, guys. Hey, yo, shut the F up. We got to do what we got to do.
Right.
All of those, not everybody. There were people who were mad at that too.
I was going to say, but be fair, because I'm allowed to be annoyed with both because I despise Donald Trump for doing that.
Right, you were mad with both. But the people who are going at LeBron were good with that and understood that.
Yes, but LeBron wanted to get his Nike money they're not good with.
Right.
Interesting. It's so convoluted. Honestly, it frustrates me as a topic because it's like I don't remember a more complicated subject in sports.
I mean, you're right. I don't remember one either. I just remember when MJ, they asked him
Republicans buy sneakers
He
too?
was like, Republicans buy sneakers too. And they were like, it was very hard to catch MJ up in anything, and they tried to stick that on him. So,
and it's been stuck with him for a very long time.
Right. And
that was about money.
And
MJ's made no qualms about being about his money.
Yeah, and if you think about what MJ said, it's like, what did he say that was that bad? Because you know what, MJ does he has a lot of philanthropic endeavors, like a lot.
Yeah.
You just don't hear about them.
And it's also never enough for people when they hear about it. Like we heard the number recently, he gave $1 million to the hurricane relief
in the Bahamas.
And they were in the Bahamas, and they're like, $1 million? Right. And it's like, whatever he does, people,
right.
And I bet it goes back to Republicans buy sneakers too.
Absolutely.
And people do hold athletes to a different standard. You're supposed to be generous in a whole different way.
Right.
And I don't know where that line gets drawn. Like, if you're Jay-Z and Beyonce, how much of your time has to be philanthropic for you to be considered a good person?
It'll never be enough.
It's never enough, right?
It's never going to be enough. There's no scenario where it's enough.
Speaking of which, does it make you enjoy your role? Like, you are technically I would say, a very high-level role player in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Do you enjoy the fact that you make a ton of money, championships, that have the whole thing, but you maybe are able to navigate the world in a way where people aren't constantly judging every decision you make?
No, I would disagree with that.
But you still feel judged in that regard?
Yes.
Got it.
Because I'm more on the side of the, I've got a funny story. Steve Kerr called me a cynic one day. He was like, Andre, you're a cynic, but I love that about you. One of my teammates, I won't say his name, he was like, fuck he mean with that by that word cynic, man? I don't know what he thought Steve was disrespecting me, man. He's like, man, I wanted to step to him, man. It was the funniest thing. I was like, no, he's giving me a compliment. But in terms of me being a high-level role player, you have to pick your spots in terms of the things you say. And sometimes you might have to go at a reporter. You might have to make a statement for one of your main guys. Like, one of your main guys might make a statement and people might disagree with it. You might have to jump out there and just throw yourself in the fire with them and just know, like, you got to deal with it. So I've had many of those moments. It's like, all right, I can handle it. I'm just throwing myself in the fire with them.
Right, because if the story's about Steph or KD,
Right.
the person that on the team that they want to talk to about those things, they're coming
Right,
to
and
you.
I'm riding out with them.
Right.
So, like, I mean, I might disagree, but I'm riding with them just to let them know, like, no, I got your back. And it might linger for a little bit, especially with that team. I don't think people realize, like, we were looked at a little different. Like, Steph forgot his ring and, like, his equipment bag one day.
His championship ring or his wedding ring?
His wedding ring.
Got it.
And so we were coming from, like, San Diego to New York driving, and he was getting dressed, and he had his ring in his shoe in his bag, and he was rushing out. So when we got to the hotel, he didn't have his ring on, and then it was all over the news like he was having marital problems. Like, and then I saw, you know, then they were like his wife and him are fine because they were together 2 hours later. It's like, man, she had to fly down there.
Just to make it look, just so everyone knew everything was cool.
It's like, what are we talking about right now?
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yo, can you give a little bit of
stupidity?
Can you give a little bit of insight to the relationship between you guys and there are two kinds of media relationships that you guys have, right? So the Warriors and all teams, but the Warriors especially, get covered by national reporters,
Right.
who swoop in.
Right.
You'll see them every blue moon.
Right.
Maybe it's Rachel Nichols, maybe it's Stephen A., maybe it's other columnists who are national. And then you have the people who are there every single day who you get to know. Mm-hmm. And can you just describe a little bit about that dynamic? Because I think people don't understand when they consume media the way you guys have different relationships with reporters. Some that are good,
right.
Some that you hate seeing every day,
right.
some that you're friendly with.
Right. That's it. That one's a little tough too because it's like you said, you got some people who don't follow us like that. So they'll just show up. Like every
when the
blue
big
moon.
story's there.
Right, they just show up every blue moon and be like, come on now, like, you trying to pimp it now, like do some real research, like, right? So I always talk about, like, go back to real journalism. And the thing we have to be most careful about now more than anything is just someone taking your statement and twisting it around. And that happens more than anything. So they're just trying to get the click to the headline.
But is that more likely with the ones who aren't there every day as opposed to the people who have to see you the next day?
It's more likely the ones that aren't there every day, right? So the ones that are there every day, they like, I mean, I'm seeing him 4 times a week, 3 times a week, and we basically building a relationship. And it's like, yo, I'm gonna look out for you when if I need to write a story or something, I'll look out for you down the line. So it's like, okay, it's kind of some give and take. You know, I need you, you need me. We'll help each other out.
And they also don't work for those big ass outlets that
Right.
do a lot of clickbait.
Right.
Right.
You know, they work for a local outlet or they work for something more regional where the fandom of their reader is more intimate. So they want to, they want to have a better story.
What's the
a more true
biggest
story.
out there? Is it the Chronicle or SF Gate? What's like the biggest, the main
Francisco
local?
Chronicle's huge.
Chronicle's huge. Yeah. It's another one, too.
Is Tribune still around? Oakland Tribune? I don't know if the Oakland Tribune.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, the Athletica is buying up everything.
Yeah, the Athletic has a lot of space in
Yeah,
big markets.
They're doing big things right now. They're buying up. It's a startup in the tech space through journalism. So,
In your book, The Sixth Man, it's out right now, right?
mm-hmm.
Do you get into that transition from, because on the Sixers, you were the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And some injuries, recovery, keeping your body together. You took the Sixers to a couple of playoffs, right? You guys went.
Yeah, I think we went to the playoffs every year except like 2. That was an underrated team, like crazy.
Who was that? You, Elton Brand?
Me, Elton Brand. We had like a lot of young guys. So Drew Holiday was young. Lou Williams was young. Thaddeus Young was young. Evan Turner was really young. Like we maximized our talent. That's why, that was one of my favorite teams because we would like, playing in Philly's different in terms of like they're really into their sports. So you got to come with it or they'll let you know. So that was a good experience, but we were a very tight-knit group.
But you had to learn how to become a different player.
Yes.
Which I'm assuming you cover in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Of being the main guy,
Yep.
support guy,
Mm-hmm.
team guy.
What do you prefer?
The main guy helped me a lot. Like that helped me. Like I had to be locked in like every second of the way, everywhere. Like if I didn't have a good game, like I couldn't go outside.
Right.
Like that was different. That's different.
Oh, that's interesting.
When you going out walking down the street and you get cursed out.
It's like 12 points last night.
Yeah.
And you're like, I did my best.
And then like my game is like 18, 9, and 8 is a great night. Like that's me. So I had a lot of those, and it was like, yo, you can't get 20? You can't get 25? And it's like, but it helped me, like, stay on my toes. Like, it wasn't good for me mentally because, like, just going through the stress and going through, like, some depression. Like, I wouldn't leave the house. I was in the gym, like, all day long. But it kind of helped me build, like, some thick skin. It helped that bond with the teammates because it's like, yo, these dudes I'm in the trenches with. So that's good to go through. Like, it helped me grow up really fast. Like, Allen Iverson taught me that early on. When I played with him, people forget I played with him.
Yeah, I was just about to say, there was a little crossover.
You double AI for a second there.
People, like, he told me all that, but you don't know, like, what he's talking about until you go through it. So he was like, man, be careful. Like, they'll turn on you quick. You're a young guy with some talent, and you're up and coming. So he taught me all that.
And for the record, AI does practice. Practice.
He practices. He practices. You know what? He knew how to use practice to get him ready for the game. He was like, okay, early in the year I practice to get myself ready, but it's 82 games. Like, I understand what he's saying. Like, everybody gets what he's saying now, but no one.
Was he still freakishly good when you were there?
Yeah. He was still like that. My rookie year was like his best year. Like, he averaged like 30 and 10 assists.
Up until Steph Curry, I thought Allen Iverson was the most talented, pound for pound, the most talented player I'd ever seen. Like, there was more talent packed into Allen Iverson, I think, than I'd ever seen.
Well, the combination of basketball knowledge, athleticism.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Like,
then
everything he could do. Yeah, and just everything that he could do. And then Steph has sort of gotten in that conversation for me in terms of...
I think they're different. AI was just like the athlete. Like, it's not even comparable with him and Steph. The athlete.
The level of athleticism?
The level of athleticism is unreal with Allen Iverson. Like, he was only 6 feet tall.
And he was an incredible quarterback, too.
Like, he had records that Michael Vick couldn't break in high school.
Right.
They from around the same place in Virginia.
Yep.
And Michael Vick couldn't break Allen Iverson quarterback records. It was just crazy. So I seen him do some things that I didn't see, like, a human couldn't do. Like, he was like a real artist. Like, he can draw your face. He was
You mean literally with the pen?
Like, he'd take a pencil and, like, draw you like a cartoonist. He was a cartoonist. Like, he can be, like, work for, like, a newspaper. It was unreal. And then Steph is like, Steph's got something else. Anybody seen The Accountant, the movie The Accountant?
Yes.
Steph's like that, where he's just, like, he's good at everything. Like, hand-eye coordination. Like, he probably could shoot somebody from 1,000 feet away. Like, he can throw, like, I seen him throw darts, and I seen him bowl, like, 250 in bowling.
Yeah, I've heard his bowling's crazy.
Then, like, ping pong.
Golf, he's amazing. He loves golf.
He can play pro, like, in real life. He could throw a fastball, 80 miles per hour, crazy, right down the middle. He just got this hand-eye thing that's just, like, freakish.
And that's where the shot comes.
That's where the shot, yeah.
Have you ever seen someone shoot the way he shoots, like during practice, just seeing him shoot around?
Clay's up there. Clay's up there. Kyle Culver.
But Steph's release is so fast.
Yeah.
The release is crazy.
Clay's like right there, though. It's funny. Like,
Really?
Steph's
I just
so
feel
good.
like Clay because Steph, it feels like it's one motion.
Steph can do it off the dribble so well, but if you see Clay, like, Clay catch the ball, like, above his head, and, like, most guys would catch it and set and shoot. Like, Clay catch it up here, right here, and he'll somehow just shoot it from, like, right there. Like, you don't see that often. Like, Gilbert Arenas could do it. It ain't too many guys that can do that.
Can keep it up there, catch and keep it up. And
like, he
shoot
could catch it, like, here. I'm serious, like, above his shoulder on his left side, and he'll shoot it.
Into them.
Yeah,
was it were things ever tense at all during the Draymond KD situation, or was that much more hype in the media than it was for you guys on the team?
It was way more hyped through the media, and, like, we all human, so you can feel the media, the way the media took it, trying to seep through the team. And it was like, if something happened, and we looking at each other like, are people mad at each other? And it's like, no, we good. Like, just relax. And that's, like, where I came in. Like, a young guy didn't know, like, how to react to certain things or a question or, like, Draymond gonna get on you. And then the young guy's like, is he mad at me? It's like, nah, like.
He's just getting on you, right?
But the young guy is just reading stuff and the agents and on the outside, they don't know how to react. But, like, we got through that like it was nothing. Yeah.
You're currently not playing.
Right.
We're hearing rumblings of where you plan to go. How many more seasons left in them legs, in the tank? How many more you want to play?
How many do I want to play, or how many can I play? It's two different questions. Two different answers.
I don't even.
I could play like Vince Carter.
You want to go?
I
Now,
could.
You could.
Do you want to?
I won't.
Got it.
So like, I'm really excited about the things that I got going off the court. Like patience is like killing me on the schedule. So I'm ready
Shout
to
to
go.
patience.
I'm ready to go full time
Yeah.
off the court. But I'll probably play like 3 more years.
Got it.
3 years max. So we'll see how things shake up. I've been working out. I'm in really good shape. I'm like the leanest I've been in a while. So
What's the most time off you've had in a while? Because y'all kept going to so
yeah,
many.
we haven't had any time off. So like, yeah, we haven't had any time off. So I'm really only like 2 weeks behind technically,
Right.
and that's still guys still had more time off than I did.
That's right.
It's just crazy. So we'll see. Hopefully, it happens sooner than later.
2 subjects I want to hit with you before you leave. Steve Kerr, what was your relationship like with him? Obviously, he's edging into being a pretty iconic coach. Plus, some of the things that he says, to the media is pretty iconic and awesome.
Well, I meant to
also.
bring that up when we were talking about the LeBron situation. Is some of that heat that's coming for the NBA is because Pop
And Kerr.
have been so outspoken against,
Which is one of the things that endears him to people like us.
Right.
What's he like?
Right. So, Trump attacked him. That was interesting. That was pretty funny. But the thing about Steve is like, you got some people that just make statements, and you're like, who is he to say certain things? But if you read kind of the backstory of Steve and where he came from,
And his dad.
It's
Crazy.
the way his dad died, he gets it. He knows how to, the political situations can affect you personally.
Right.
So he's not talking just to talk. Like he's walking the walk. He's been through it. So, Steve has a really good perspective on things. And being around us, he's gotten a better perspective on other things that he hasn't seen before. So he's well rounded. I like Steve.
And is his relationship with all the players pretty good?
Yeah. Steve's pretty chill. He's laid back. He's laid back. He has this thing where he's like, yo, I want to have a great work environment. This is supposed to be your stress-free zone. So when you come to work, we're not going to stress. We're going to enjoy it. So he sees the bigger things in life. Like, I know the stress is off the court. He's played in the league for a long time with the greatest player of all time.
Wait, time out. How many rings Kerr got?
He got like 8.
Oh, you mean because the MJ ones?
Because the MJ
He's
ring.
got 3 with MJ. He's got 2 with the Spurs.
And 3 with you guys?
3 with us. Yeah, he's got 8.
And then he, of course, had his own health things that he had to deal with a few years ago.
Right.
During the playoffs.
Right.
Which was tough. I
Right.
mean, that seemed really difficult for him.
Yeah, he had a back issue. And it was funny, the timing with when he got hurt and the medicine he had to take to help him function, which was the CBD and the THC versus CBD, so he could speak on all that. So that was funny. So Steve's in a really interesting pocket, but he's able to speak on these things with some knowledge, and he can get through to people that sometimes we couldn't.
California State just passed that law with regard to college athletes being able to make money using their likeness, et cetera, et cetera. We've been vocal on the show that it's ridiculous that college athletes can't, do little things like train somebody in the summertime,
Right.
and use their athleticism to even help a kid play basketball and get money doing a kids camp for basketball. That's stupid shit, right? Is against NCAA. Where do you see this? A, do you agree that college players should be able to use and leverage their expertise, their likeness to make money for themselves at the college level?
Yes, so I'm not sure if that bill they pass will actually let the players get paid. I think that bill is just going to get to another bill. This is going to get to another bill. They're just going to keep making it harder and harder and harder, right?
The NCAA will.
Exactly.
Got it.
They got self-driving cars. They figured out that technology, right? They can figure out how to take care of the kids. This is simple. So all you got to do is, okay, I'm 19 years old, 18 years old. I'm not old enough to handle that amount of money, right? I think we all can agree on that, right? But you can just set it up.
Trust.
It's all it is.
401k, retirement.
All you can do is set up a trust and make the kids take financial literacy classes. And it's pass or fail. You got to pass the class. You got to learn how to manage your wealth. You got to put that into play. And kid graduates college, he gets all his money, one lump sum, right? If a kid doesn't graduate college, you just give it to him, stagger it. So you're giving them incentives to get their education, get their degree, take the financial classes, learn how to handle wealth, learn how to handle money, but you're compensating them fairly for the wealth that they brought to the team. I mean, LeBron was a big story about comments he made. Mm-hmm. So what's that say? That says the value of the athlete. And it's all across the board in all the sports, especially in football, especially in basketball. But we're talking about two sports where a lot of minorities are accruing a lot of the value, and they just don't want us to realize our value and realize the power that we have on these platforms and in these sports. So it's just a systematic oppression that's been there for since the beginning of time.
It's just amazing that it's right. It's in such plain sight, and no one sees it that way. As always, I've always felt such deep discomfort with, like, when you watch a Southern college football game and you see the coach at the end of the game walking up with the they always have two sergeants next to them. And I'm like, he's making $5 million, and then you have these kids up there, 20 years old, doing everything, and they have nothing. They're just nothing. And that imagery just always jumped out at me as being like, what is this whole thing? But you said it so well, like, they can't figure out, well, how are we going to distribute to the better players, guys?
Well, and my thing is, it's supposed to be college. You're supposed to be learning about the real world, right?
Yeah, you're not.
Let's tell you about the real world. Right. He's the fucking quarterback. He's gonna make a lot more than the third string punter.
It's just how it is.
You know,
and you figure that out.
It's just like the different departments. You know what I'm saying? Like the school of business and, you know, the school of engineering. They probably got more money put into them than the school of journalism or, you know, general studies.
And guess what? At UConn,
same thing.
At UConn, the women's basketball team's making more money than the football team. That's just how it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wherever, you know, it'll change. One more thing. You're an Olympic gold medalist also. Mm-hmm. What did you think of what happened with Team USA this year? And what can they do to ensure that players play? And, like, should there be incentive where it's like, if players turn down going to the World Championships, should they also still get to show up? Because I kind of feel for the players who were stuck out there getting crushed during the championships.
No, it's just the way the game goes. So, you know, you take your L's, you know, you take your lumps, and but you definitely, when you can put your best out there, you put your best out there. But at the same time, they had the back-to-back years. They changed the format. It kind of threw guys off. So the World Championships and Olympics used to be 2 years apart.
Got it. So people played last year, were asked again, and didn't want to go back again.
So people playing 19, then they got to play again in 20 with the long seasons. The seasons are getting longer. You know, guys are working out more. I think the studies show our players are getting hurt more because of the AAU schedule. I mean, these kids playing 100 games a year, 200 games a year from the age of 8 on. And that's just the value.
It adds up.
It's the value of the game. That's just this is all money, right? What we talking about? The economics. But when my man says it, you got backlash, right?
Yeah.
But it's the economics of it, you know, it's just a money making machine, and we gotta take care of our bodies.
It's a great point.
Sixth Man is the book. Andre Iguodala is his name, and it was a great conversation. It was a pleasure meeting you, man.
Yeah, pleasure, man.
I'm really a fan of not only your accomplishments on the court, but, like, when I saw you make that move and do these business moves, I've really been following that. That's dope.
Thank you.
And I hope people are paying attention to it.
Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks,
man.
Andre.
Andre Iguodala.